Hi there. Recently, I have gotten into the job of a technical account manager. Now, first of all, what is it and how can you achieve the same? So, a technical account manager, basically compared to a average system engineer, is someone that also sort of has oversight over the entirety of a customer sort of IT structure slash their entire strategy for the future. Now, compared to a normal system engineer, technical account managers also need some level of business knowledge, right? You need to understand how processes work. You need to understand how project management works or projects generally work. Like, for example, if you're a normal system engineer, it's possible that you do projects already, but you actually execute them, right? But it's here at least it's more common that you do this as a senior. Basically, you actually do projects from start to finish, kind of as an engineer. But the person is actually responsible for bringing those projects to the end is either a project manager in bigger companies or a technical account manager in smaller companies, right? Technical account manager can also exist in bigger companies, but there they have slightly different roles, or their project management sort of attribute is much more common and much more dominant, right? Because they handle a lot of projects all the time. Now, how can you do the same? So to do that, or basically to sort of give you some expertise and understanding, I have to sort of talk a bit about myself. So I did my apprenticeship, right, in Switzerland. IT is just an apprenticeship that takes 4 years, right, from 2015 to 2019. Then after that, I basically just worked in different companies as a system engineer, right? I even worked in a consulting company for a very short amount of time, but just as a junior system engineer, right? It was right after my apprenticeship company, basically. Now, I went after this like smaller consulting company to a rather big company, right? With around 800 employees, 1,000 employees, something like that. Yes, I understand that in the US or other countries, that's a very small number, but in Switzerland, it's actually somewhat big. It's not a ginormous player, but it's still quite big, you know. And I really fell in love with the size of the company. And basically after that, like in this company, I really specialized in a certain area, which is called Citrix, right? Where you do remote desktop shenanigans, basically. And after that, I went to a similar sized player where basically I did already sort of part of a technical account manager. So I was already responsible for the entire operations of a customer of a sort of not directly strategic, but sort of delivery kind of level. But there was still a service delivery manager, which you probably know more about than technical account manager, probably, right? And basically, after I've worked there for around 2.5 years, I switched to technical account manager, which I'm working as now for the last 2 months, right? So, what did I do in the meantime? I did a lot of certificates, but I also did a sort of started a higher education, right? So, with certificates, what did I do? So, first of all, I did some sort of vendor certificates. I did a Citrix Certificate Associate, CCVA, and the Professional, CCVP. Um, sure, CCVP was basically a gift in that sense, right? It was the last time this course was held, so I basically was just able to get the certification for free, which was amazing because I already struggled with associate a lot, and the professional just basically was handed to me on silver platter. I just had to attend the course and got the certificate automatically after that, and that really helped a lot. So I was really lucky on this kind of. And in sort of the meantime, I also did ITIL, ITIL, right, version 4. I did some certifications that don't really matter that much for IT, but it still looks good when you send all of those things, which are HubSpot certifications and Semrush certifications. They're basically free. You just you watch a few videos, like 4 or 5 hours. You do the certification, which is completely online. No one is watching you or anything, and then you have your certificate. It's actually great to sort of round up your CV a little bit. And at the same time, which sort of was a bit more important, was project management, IPMA level D, right? A lot of you probably know the PMP. IPMA is more common in Europe or Switzerland specifically, right? There's also a video on my channel that sort of goes into that, where sort of which certifications you should do if you want to go sort of more into project management. It's a short, so I'm gonna sort of go a little more in detail here. Now, at the same time, I did higher education. I'm still not finished. I'm in my 5th semester out of 6. Right, in the next semester, I have to write my diploma work, basically, diploma paper. And basically, in Switzerland, we're a bit blessed when it comes to education system generally. So apply where you can apply it, kind of. When you finish with your with your apprenticeship, right? In Switzerland, you have different paths you can take. We have something where sort of you need to have something called, we call it a BMS, which is basically just like there's a higher base education, a certificate that basically you went to school a little longer than the sort of mandatory 9 years that we have, right? But you basically just have school subjects, just more in depth kind of. And after that, you're eligible to go to make a bachelor and master, and the classic university blah. Not university, with also there a bit more, but I'm going to go into detail there. Here in Switzerland, right? I never did this year because I was thinking, why do I need this, and was too lazy. Now, looking back at it, I regret it a little bit, kind of, because here you usually do this either during your apprenticeship or after. I never wanted to do it during, because I thought it's enough hassle to do my apprenticeship basically, and so I thought maybe I'll do it after, but I never did. I just worked for 3 years as a system engineer basically, and then I basically went into a sort of just higher education, right? A sort of higher subject school is more or less how we call it, directly translated, kind of, where I did business IT, right? Business IT in this sort of area is basically, you learn a lot about the business fundamentals and a little more in-depth topics in a just solely IT environment, right? You talk about how does a company work, but really on an IT level. You talk about how services work, how products work, how a company in itself work, how projects work, how processes work, blah blah, a lot of extra blah. If you care, if you want to know more about that, just write down in the comments and I will make a follow-up video just for my education that I did, but it's not important right now. And basically, when I sort of reached the 4th year of this higher education, I was sort of eligible to go into sort of this next level of roles, which was, for example, technical account manager, right? That really helped a lot, but it was sort of the mix of all of them. I worked in IT, like with my apprenticeship basically, for 10 years, right? So it was apprenticeship 4 years and another 6 years of just on the job, normal system engineering type thing. And basically, then when I had sort of the paper to show that I actually can sort of do business things, I was able to get this role, right? Generally, what helps a lot is going from a bigger company into a smaller company, because they want to understand how the processes work in the bigger companies and sort of try to sort of learn from that, right? New hires are very sort of like well seen from bigger companies, basically. Now, that is sort of how I became a technical account manager. And sort of to give some transparency, because I'm a big fan of transparency. I've been a system engineer, as I said, for 6 years. I've switched companies, let's see, like 1, 2, 3, 4 times as a system engineer. And I basically went from 4,800 a month to 65,500 a year to round about 78,000, the last 75,000 maybe a year, to 85,000 a year, which was my last job. And the switch to, as you can see, the jumps were not that big. And basically, for my technical account manager role, I jumped up to 100,000 and a bit, like 102-ish, something like this, right? And as you can see, the last jump was fairly big, right? Education pays out, maybe you'll never use it, who cares. The paper is important, which I kind of am against, but you know, whatever. So that's kind of how you can do this. Like generally, the best way to become a technical account manager is either level up your business skills or level up your technical skills. If you level up just your technical skills, you're probably going to end up as a senior system engineer or a how do you call this, a solution engineer / solution architect, depends on the company kind of. They earn actually more than a technical account manager usually, right? So keep that in mind. But if you sort of focus more a little bit on business and managerial things and stuff, you can go into technical account manager and then sort of go further from there to, for example, like service delivery manager, which is also my next goal. If you have any questions about this or want to know more, leave a comment and I'll make gladly a follow-up video. Thanks for watching.